All right, welcome everybody. I think we're still, I thought Janet was going to come, but I'm not sure if she's, anybody know for sure?
No.
We'll get going anyway. Let's see. Can anyone move to approve the minutes from January 10th?
Sure, I will.
Pam moves.
I move.
Anyone a second?
Second.
Second, Mary. Thank you. All in favor? Good.
Aye.
Aye. Good. All right, let's get to it. We've got, let's see, Mari's got to leave early, Pam's got to leave early. So let's make sure we cover whatever business we want. First, I do want to talk about the we're meeting with department heads because that's got to get going. But I know they're in budget hearings. And Cindy, what's the schedule for budget hearings and all that stuff?
So the budget hearings with the first selectman have pretty much been completed. So now the first selectman has to put together her budget request, and then it goes to the Board of Finance in early March. So there's a brief lull before that gets started up. I don't have those dates in front of me if they've been set with the Board of Finance. I'm not sure if they've been set.
All right.
But
Any
those are usually, I think they usually do that over a period of just a few days.
Yeah.
What do you think, Cindy, as far as opportunities to meet with department heads? And we're particularly talking of think about George, Dimitri, who else? Rena?
Yep, those are the three that come to my mind that I think
Yeah.
would be most worth your while.
Do
Right,
we
so I
know
would
yet what the first selectman supports on the agenda that we presented to her?
Sorry, I have a printer running. I couldn't hear that. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I was just wondering, since our meeting, if there were things, I know she reacted during the meeting to some of the things we proposed, but I'm not sure if she was in favor of moving forward with any of them or not in favor of any others.
Well, with the budget, we really haven't had a lot of time to talk about this, unfortunately. But you know, she was very positive about several things. She's got a big task ahead of her to set her budget, but I will try to follow up. I can see what I can do to help get you in to see department heads and at least work on that front. And then, if today you want to mention maybe your highest priority items from that meeting, and maybe I can see if I can get a little bit of follow-up for you.
Actually, Cindy, do you happen to know, Vicki had mentioned that Dimitri had brought up the community gardens previously, but we weren't aware of that. I don't know if you happen to know what his thoughts were.
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure what she was referring to. But I know, when you had proposed adding to the community gardens, and Dimitri went out and he located some sort of prefab units that could be used, and he was pretty enthusiastic about those and willing to work on those. So I'm not sure if she was referring to that or something else.
Okay, so I guess we'll just when we speak with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, did you want to follow back up with Vicki first, or do you want us to tell you where we would like to kind of get a start as we're heading out of winter and into spring? I just wanted to say that.
Sure, you can talk about winter and heading into spring anytime. No.
Yeah, I know Mel's been back and forth with Dimitri a little bit, so he would probably be the first one we'd want to sit with. I know once he's, I guess he's this probably shouldn't be a terrible time for him if he's already done with, with Vicky for the budget and in between snow and things and,
So he responded pretty quickly to my inquiry about the tree brochures, which I kind of sent him over the weekend. But when I asked to actually speak with him in person about the community center, he said he was just swamped. So that's why I sent the email with the profile.
Mhm.
So maybe if he has a chance to look at that, I sent that to Vicky and Dimitri. And it was just like a 1-page front and back.
Mhm.
So maybe if he has something on his email, we can prompt him to talk about it a bit more. But he seems pretty engaged on this outreach for the tree brochure. And I know that's another topic, but we, it came up, Greenwich has done a lot of amazing things and brochures. And so if we can work on those and maybe send something out, he was definitely engaged in that. And if we can get some funding, that would be great. So Cindy, the issue was, I don't know, should I mention this now and we get it off the table about the trees? So anyway, what Fairfield is doing is Unite Illuminating is coming through and here in Trumbull and Fairfield, and they're putting mailbox hangers on the homes of people where they're going to be this year doing some trimming or removal. And what Fairfield is doing is has developed brochures about your tree rights. So as a homeowner and a resident, what your tree rights are and how to communicate with UI. It's not confrontational. It's just the facts, ma'am. And Dimitri really likes that. So the thought was if we could do that, get some funding for it, maybe develop one that's our own. John Massari on our commission said he can work on adapting the graphics to Trumbull or Trumbullizing the brochure, maybe getting it printed, and we can work on financing for that. But I think that's kind of a good first step with educating the public about trees. And public trees and private trees. And so that's kind of where we stood with that. But the good news is that Dimitri was pretty engaged in doing that. He liked what we sent him. So that was good.
Okay, I can talk to him about this as well. And Vicky, yeah, I mean, it sounds like a good idea because, I think anything to empower the residents is a good idea and inform them.
Yeah, okay, good. Excellent. And the community gardens, it would just be, we can do a live, like a tour there of it, maybe when the snow melts. We might be able to do something like that in early March, just to go see the one in Westport and see if there's any interest in us over the next few years scaling ours up to use theirs as a model. Might be a nice little field trip. That's all I had.
Does anybody else want to add, Mari and Pam particularly, since you have to leave early, to answer Cindy's question about priorities and also any other items you want to kick around before you have to go?
I'll let you go first.
Oh, well, I was just thinking in reference to the list for Cindy. I wonder if we designate one person to draft like a real quick short list to each department head that Cindy could then forward. Like I'm sure Pam, you and Mel collectively will have stuff for Dimitri. And then, maybe to George, we could amongst ourselves make a quick short list just to kind of break it apart for you, Cindy. I don't know if that would be helpful.
I think it would be a good idea for the department heads to have, a list of topics going in so that they can be prepared or more prepared. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's not
In
really
our
our
deck.
agenda. It's just finding out what they're interested in collaborating on, really.
Mhm,
In our deck that we presented to Vicky,
mhm.
Yeah.
I believe that it was our priorities. That the deck
Okay.
itself was our top line priorities, but I think it said who the stakeholders were on the slides. So we could easily just extract from that.
Yeah. Just trying to, make it easier.
Mhm.
And then really my agenda items that I just wanted to make sure we talk about are some of the recycling things. So
Mhm.
if we want to just move to those bullets from the agenda, I'm fine with that unless Pam, you had a different plan. Is that okay? Or
Yeah, why don't you
Okay.
start, Mari, and then Pam, we'll go to Pam next.
Okay, one of the things about recycling is, I don't know if I mentioned to anybody, but we've been invited as a group to tour the Van Dyke Recycling Systems facility in Norwalk. I think I sent this out a while ago. And I guess they can accommodate up to 30 people. I'm trying to get a better sense of like what their agenda is for collaborating with us or not, but they basically consult to manufacturers on packaging to see if their packaging will be recyclable, as well as build the recycling equipment. So they just keep reaching out to us. One of the employees there is a neighbor of mine. So I thought between maybe some of our team members, maybe we can invite appropriate people from some of the neighboring sustainable groups. If anybody is in favor of that, I can, maybe pick a date next month if anyone's interested. I would ask them for a list of days and times. Just wanted to put that out there so I can circulate that invite, or if anybody has suggestions on how we can fill those 30 spots so we don't waste their time. I'm open to suggestions.
That's good.
That would be great. I would love to go on a tour.
Yeah, me too. I thought
That
it'd be
would-
cool.
Yeah, those are fun places to go.
Especially with some of the legislation going back to the manufacturers, it'll be neat to see what they have to go through to
Mhm.
make their packaging recyclable. So, the next thing on recycling I wanted to bring up is the town transfer station webpage on recycling, which will kind of cover the e-waste recycling, glass recycling, and whatever else. But just a quick note, I think I told a couple of you in person, I reached out to New Tech, the company that manages the e-waste trailer at the transfer station, just to try to confirm that I was fully aware of everything they take. So I don't want to duplicate efforts at the recycling drive and add collection items of things that we could already just bring to the transfer station, such as like cassette tapes, CDs, which they do not take. But I do have a full list from them in our Sustainable Trumbull Gmail account that they emailed us of everything they do collect. And I don't see it listed anywhere on our town webpage. So as a community member, I think that would be important to have. So I don't know if we can just put a quick list together and send it to Bill to maybe upload a link to even the list on the drive or something like we've been doing, Bill, and maybe that would work. Unless we need to get approval elsewhere. I'm just kind of.
Well, I think I would like to get George's approval.
Okay.
Because, the transfer station is under his management. So I just, before
Okay.
we put anything, I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, so maybe we can add that to the short list. Unfortunately, I didn't connect with Pam before we had the email because that was on our collectively, Pam and I know we talked about with Mary too, the glass recycling, how to get the information out. So maybe we can amend the request with him to just make sure some of the information on the transfer station is as up to date as possible on the webpage rather.
That's a great idea.
We've noticed a few things are outdated, and that could be something as volunteers we could work on, identifying areas for improvement and sending to him for approval, perhaps.
That's a great idea. Yeah,
Okay.
I like that idea a lot. And speaking of the glass recycling, I know that you had sent emails with Fairfield's information. And, George, I did speak with George, and he would like to get some information out as well, and was wondering if maybe you as a group or someone in the group might want to work on a flyer like Fairfield had, or, some press release, just things that we can put out like what Fairfield did to get the word out. And, he was even wondering if, and I don't know the answer to this, but he was asking if do the haulers send bills? And I'm embarrassed to say I'm not the bill payer in my house, so I don't know if we get a paper bill or.
Yes, they do.
So if the haulers would be willing to put a flyer in with their bills, if we gave them to them, and what
Yeah,
would that look?
They do send out, like, we get it, they have all the emails that and they also send out on Facebook. So there's like multiple ways to go through.
Mhm.
We just have RWS and is it Chestnut? Did I make Chestnut up?
Colonial too.
Colonial, thank you. I knew that didn't sound right.
No, but
And then
isn't there Chestnut Hill? Isn't that one? Or no? Am I imagining?
maybe it's
things?
old. But yeah, there are multiple ways. And again, this is probably pretty easy. We just need to make sure if we're doing it the same way that Fairfield is. I think we're on the same pilot as Fairfield.
We
Is it
are.
the same? Is
yeah,
it exactly
'cause-
the same?
Maybe we can package ours so it looks a little different
No,
though.
it should absolutely look different, but I wasn't sure if ours was exactly the same as theirs.
That's what George said. He said it's the same program.
Does he
Yeah,
have
the
info on
timing-
the program to send us? Like, who is it through? Like, we can't just make up flyers if we don't know exactly the details of the program, right?
So all he did was send me the same flyer that I think you had
Oh, okay.
provided. Let me see.
Yeah, the Fairfield had like a mini press release. It really, most of it came through their sustainable group.
Mhm.
So
Right,
it
but it's
should
like
be-
I heard it from her who heard it from the person. Like, I don't know. I would rather go right to the source for the info.
Right, because Fairfield did have information about, about more about the pilot program, and I don't know, I don't have that detailed information. I can see if George has anything.
I'm thinking it could be a good student project. They're so great. The girl that does the social media stuff, she's great at making infographics. She did one for the whole Christmas leading up to the holidays. Maybe we can ask them to put stuff as a starting point.
Yeah, great.
Is that good? Okay.
There's a lot of, I don't know, a lot. There's more than one document on the transfer station website that's out of date. There was something on recycling where it says you can't bring pizza boxes.
Right.
And so we should try to comb through and make sure that it's not confusing and it's consistently correct.
That's a great idea. So, I'll see if I can get any more details about the pilot program. And, he thought that if there's someone, and you're saying maybe a student might be a good person to do this, that can put together something, and, he would want a chance to approve it and, just be in the loop. So, so that would be.
Sam,
that
do you
would
want
be
to work
great.
together on this so we can,
Sure.
go
Yeah,
back and forth and then present one thing? Okay, great.
absolutely. I mean, it's nice that it's there, but you wouldn't know it unless you drove up to the transfer station.
Right.
Still don't know what it does. It just says class.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think he wants to create a magnetic sign to post on the bin, if that's what it's called, itself, just that will have information there.
And I just have one more thing on my agenda, and then I can stay on a while. I'm not rushing off, but just about the students. So I just wanted to mention, I don't know if I sent an email. I lose track of what I report and don't. I was trying to consolidate everything for the meeting, but the students put together some information on the Break Free from Plastic Pollution Act at the federal level. So I worked with Bill and we set up a tab on and renamed the tab on outreach to advocacy and something on the town page. And then there's a link to essentially on the drive, a live document on the federal legislation, and then also on the state legislation, which there's not much formulated quite yet on the state legislation, but I have a couple of students that have been really active in trying to stay abreast on all of the environmental bills, and we'll update those two documents so they can each go in and put a live link then to how to reach out to your local legislator on this bill. And it's that one link for each of those on the webpage. So you guys can take a peek at that and add to it or give feedback, whatever. But I've been letting them kind of take the lead on keeping up with everything and having it in one uniform spot instead of a bunch of things going out. So
how does that work again? There's the advocacy section on our Sustainable Trumbull town page.
correct, right. So the problem
that-
is
and
the
that gets
students
updated
kept
how?
coming up with like, oh, sorry. What? Oh, I was just gonna say, the students kept making flyers with live links to like show your support for a bill, but then when you put that on social media, it's for nothing. There's no link, and then you have to copy and
Yeah.
paste the link into the post, and it just becomes a little convoluted. Whereas anytime they post something, they can make a great visual, they can make a flyer, but then they can direct people just to this one section on the website. And each of those links, it's one for, like I said, one for the federal level, one for the state, and it directs you to a file on the Trumbull Sustainable Youth Classroom Drive that Bill and I set up so that
Okay, so
They
it goes
can
back
add
to
to it.
their
drive.
I guess their page that they've got set up. So Bill doesn't have to do anything, right? Really?
No,
Other than
correct. He just linked it to those files essentially. It's just a link to a file that way then they
Right.
can chronologically add the most up-to-date information in one
Oh,
spot.
that's good.
So
That's good. All right.
I didn't want to have to bug him every time they had a new flyer or
Yeah.
reminder
Right.
this, so they can
Bill's got enough
post
to
on
do.
social media, reminder, 2 more days to make your voice heard or next week, we're gonna go up to the Capitol and speak in favor of, then they can have the information on that one document.
Awesome. Good. Is that all you have, Mari? Anything else?
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Can I just add one thing for recycle? It's kind of in there with that,
Sure.
for Bay State.
Yep.
There was some confusion with the checks. They were supposed to go to the town hall. And April said that the woman got in touch with me, she'd been ill or something and kind of lost control of it for a little bit apparently. But anyway, I just heard a check went to Hillcrest last week and I missed April on the Saturday drive. But so we'll get that settled, but that should be somewhere between $550 and $600 that's brought in, which is good. So, you know, that hopefully will go right into the revenue account so then it can come right back out. I did get in touch with another service that I heard of that is in Norwalk and I think in Stamford, and they do the curbside, which we were going to try to start that up before COVID. And then the company that had engaged with Trumbull stopped the program completely. So this works the same, this works the same way. They give 40 cents a pound instead of $1 a pound. So I was hoping to, negotiate a little bit with them if we, think that this is a good thing to do. Obviously I have to make sure with the town it's okay, but it also, hold on, sorry. I'm sorry, I've got somebody here for our furnace and the dogs are going nuts. But anyway, Chloe, shh, shh.
Okay, we'll leave it for it. You can-
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Go on.
The
Don't worry
beauty
about
of
it.
Zoom at home. Anyway, so I was going to try to see if I could negotiate that a little bit better. They also come to, they will do, like, say we're doing Tidy Up Trumbull Day, and to say that they'll come with a truck, say they're going to be at Twin Brooks Park. They'll come and do that. They would come at Hazardous Waste Day. So they'll come whenever anything gets organized, or just do, the curbside pickup as well. I'd hate to get rid of Bay State just because we definitely are making, more with them. And that's working fine as it is. But I just wanted to see what everybody thought before I passed it to Vicky to see if we liked going this route and what do we think per ton. I was saying per pound before. So what do we think with everybody's ideas. I mean, to me, it seems like a no-brainer.
Curbside textile pickup?
Curbside textile pickup. So the same thing that people are bringing to throw out at the Bay State. They'll come and they'll just pick it up from your house. They'll give a certain day for our area, or you go to the calendar and you fit in with it where the area is, and they'll just come and they'll make rounds.
Well, I don't, just speaking from my household, I've used the Bay State bin probably 3 or 4 times since it's been put up. And it's fine for me. I don't have that much in the way of textiles that I get rid of that I would need a curbside option.
Mm.
But maybe with the apartment buildings, the one that's being built, or like the Stern Village or anything like that, maybe that's a good option for it. But
Well, that's what I was thinking. And there are people that, I mean, to me, it's a lot easier to just, I don't know, just drive to Hillcrest or Madison and drop it off than, bring it out and have it sit out at the mailbox. But then I was thinking also like estate sales and things like that, because there's, people just moving, and there's a lot of things that you just, said you don't want to give to Goodwill. They're not of the right quality, or they're not acceptable at some of the, for shelters and things like that, Bridgeport Rescue, they're still not collecting. So I just figured it might be one more way to encourage people, but I just didn't, I wanted to see what everybody thought.
Mari, what do you think there?
Is it in lieu of Bay State, or could it be in addition to?
In addition, I already
Oh,
told them
okay.
that we had these bins, and I did say that we were getting, $100 a ton, and that, they're definitely less competitive, but it might encourage more people that just don't feel like throwing things in their car to at least, sign up and bring it. So I figured same thing, we could try it. Like Bay State, we're tied in, I believe it's 3 years after the first 6 months. I don't know. I haven't looked at any contracts for them to see if there's, if there's any kind of a lead time or anything that they will tie us into or not. But, I just thought, another opportunity.
What's the Bay State contract? Do we have to provide them with a minimum amount of material or some kind, or how is that a contract?
No, it was just, it's probably for things like this, when all of a sudden another company comes into town and then you switch around or negotiate. So this way it ties you into them, but they don't seem, the towns they're in, I mean, they don't seem to have any trouble filling. I mean, I'm surprised at how much we've gotten just in those 2. And I know the bin behind Hillcrest, there was confusion with that. I had to go put a sign on it because it's supposed to be for books and tapes and things. And it was full of clothing and pillows and all of that. So I put a sign to say, go to the other one. So people do know it's there and they are using it. But I just figured this adds a little bit extra of convenience and one more way to, get things out of the municipal waste stream. Save some, save the taxpayers some money while keeping it out of the.
put on the wish list to have one at the transfer station too. I think that was what we had originally mentioned, that we'd like to have the transfer station be a one-stop shop and have Bay State.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But I mean, on one hand, Hillcrest behind there where the pool is kind of out of the way, but we're collecting stuff. People are bringing stuff there, so you can argue with success.
Now, Mary, would the transfer station have enough space for a drop location?
I believe that everything is, actually, it's very funny where the glass one is where I was thinking of Pam's compost bin in that spot. But I believe George is still waiting for the reconfiguration. Again, it's with, MetroCog and was still held up. I'm not sure how quickly that will be done, but it does sound like it's still a ways off. I mean, a small bin could be put there, but I don't know if it makes sense at the transfer station. It probably would only make sense there to have a large one because they come really like once a week. And that bin, I just think would fill up way too quickly if it was at the transfer station with people bringing things. So I don't think at this time there's room for that. I mean, if there's any other spots in town, I was trying to think like even like the library, the senior center, I had brought that up to Michelle. She's worried that there may be more things thrown in there that really shouldn't be thrown in there. And it would be more contaminated kind of stuff just because of just trying to get rid of a lot of excess junk. So, so she, you know, she was thinking about it, but wasn't all that excited about it. So I was trying to think of other places which are visible and would encourage. I mean, maybe Stop and Shop would, you know, put one in their parking lot at one of the areas, maybe by
They
the
have
EV
a
charger.
collection.
Hmm?
They have a collection in the corner, and I happen to know, I almost took a picture, but it was all around the outside of it was covered in bags, excess stuff. It was overflowing essentially. It looked
I'm never,
like.
you know what, I usually go to I go to Big Y in Monroe. I rarely go to Stop and Shop, but I never even noticed that that was there.
Yeah,
So
it was
that's
overflowing,
interesting.
so maybe
Oh.
town hall would be good, or library.
You say Stop
Yeah.
and Shop has is it textiles you're saying?
Just it's a clothing drop of some sort.
Well, okay, just like not ripped up terrible clothing, but like
Right.
donating.
So it could go side by side if people would sort it. I'm guessing not. It would be confusing, maybe across the street though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're not talking about that Stop and Shop in Trumbull, the one that's across the parking lot?
Yes.
Okay. I think a transfer station would a little bit minimize the chance of cross-contamination because people go there, potentially a little more watched versus going behind a school or someplace. But then again, is there space there? That's more a one-stop shopping. And it was mentioned, if the transfer station website had all the other, recycling locations, that'd be great because people could go up there, the website, see, okay, they take this, they don't take this, in the list that where it says things they don't take. If we could have a link that would tell them where to drop other stuff, that would be helpful. Kind of website could be one-stop shopping.
Yeah, ideally the website tells you what to do with just about anything and everything.
Yeah.
You know.
And if we plan a QR
Okay.
code sign, that would help people, get the information, which we'll talk about after.
So let's see, what else do we have? Pam, are you there? Your Pam's list of things before Pam, you have to go. I know you have to go early, but she just left already. Hold on. Yeah, still not. Is there anything else on recycling that we want to talk about? Textiles, glass, the brochure, tour. So I have,
Just one last thing. I'm going to put a schedule together. I think we have a one created on the drive somewhere, but we're going to be a little thin over the summer with the volunteers. So maybe if anybody else is available to man the recycling drive, we have a couple other people that might be interested outside of the group as well. So.
and that's mostly for, I mean, in addition to helping out the band, what are the main things? We've got the plastic.
Just sorting everything that people drop off there, and then dropping the plastic off at Stop and Shop the day of. Everything else you can just hold until the following month, or whenever. We usually collect some of the smaller items for a few months before we send them back. So.
You know how much plastic we've gotten to date?
Well, this past weekend, we estimated about 95 pounds at the recycling drive alone. The high schools reported for this month 60 pounds, so that's 155 for February so far. So we're counting the most, this we talked about, but we're counting the recycling drive drop off since it's at the high school towards the high school's annual school challenge. So without those February numbers, they were in 15th place in their size category in the region, whatever the region is that Trek allocates to the high school. So
I'm fascinated by how much plastic we're collecting at that Saturday drive.
I know.
I mean, I know how much I'm bringing, but still, I mean, I filled up the back of my RAV4. I had no room. I had to push the door closed, right, Mari? It's like, holy
Unsafe
mackerel. That wasn't even all of it.
I know.
It's great.
Are you talking about plastic bags or?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
wrap.
Yeah, any of the
Plastic
film.
films.
Yeah. Oh,
So
I
any
noticed that
stretchy plastic.
the bin in town hall is overflowing as well. I don't know if someone's picked it up in the last couple
I
of
did.
days.
I did that, I think Friday,
Good,
something
good.
like that. Yeah,
I-
unfortunately, I didn't realize, I thought that was for employees. And I ran into, oh my gosh, Alicia, and she said that it's people coming into town hall. I'm like, so wonder if there's like a better place to move it or something so that it's not, and it's, you know, it's things that shouldn't be in there, unfortunately. So then I have to bring it home and sort it. But anyway, Mari, you can, I had my plastic when we picked up Saturday, so you can add five more pounds.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I won't report till the end of the month. So
yes, I
perfect.
forgot about that.
Right.
And then I'm just trying to think, are there any other, like, for the schools, are the food services, are they collecting as well?
The environmental club is manning it at the high school. That's the only school I'm personally in contact with. I know April's been in contact with other leaders at the schools. Each school's running it through a different point of contact, not necessarily a club. Yeah, he's collecting it at the loading dock at the high school. So what
Great.
they're doing is they have collection boxes and they're getting it from all over the building, as far as I understand, wherever there's, you know, things wrapped in the plastic film or whatnot. And then they weigh it and then drop it off. So
Great, okay.
And before you go, what do you want to review here? What do you want to talk about?
I really don't have that much. And I'm not, like Mari, I'm not rushing off just yet, but if we started to linger till 5, it was going to be a problem. It's my wedding anniversary, so I want romance to remain in the air here. Just a note, I don't know if we talked, Big Belly is on our agenda, and I didn't get the sense that we were going to have much luck getting that into town, but I guess I was just wondering if Cindy had heard anything about Big Belly.
Well, we talked about that and we noted that Stratford has it. And I'm trying to remember, my notes are not clear who was going to follow up on that. Were we going to talk to Stratford?
I don't know. We didn't.
Okay.
We left everything with you and Vicky at the end of the meeting, but Mari and I have pricing and more details, and the guy in Stratford is willing to speak to whomever. And then there are people in New Haven that are willing to talk to us, and the guy from Big Belly will talk to anybody because he's a salesman. So
Yeah, I think our point where we were at was Dimitri, I know, has not been a fan of having receptacles in the parks, but
Right.
as, you know, especially Pam in her walking has seen that where we have it at the tops of the trails, it has made a difference. And if this is something that, again, it'll be noticed, it can be funded by, we'll have our Bay State money that's in there, which might be able, maybe let's pilot it somewhere, see how it goes. More trash will fit in there, less time for the rangers to have to go pick it up. Each month when they have the agenda for the Parks and Rec, I know Kathy's on that, not you, but they always have a update about the various jobs the rangers are doing and everything. And that's one of the things. It's like trash continues to be an issue. So I mean, we already have the issue, and this, it doesn't allow for the size of it to put a huge, you know, bring my garbage from home and put it in, which I know was also a concern of Dimitri. So it just seems like even if we could, you know, try to pilot a couple at some of the areas where we definitely have issue. And again, if we could find an Amazon or a Henkel or somebody like that would like to sponsor it, they can get it wrapped on the outside, you know, kind of, you know, nice advertisement for them. So, I mean, it might be kind of a win-win, nice community type thing. And it's, you know, trash, we have it, so might as well address it.
right, and I know that would be, that we don't send our sanitation drivers out to parks to pick up trash. The rangers do it where we have bins, and that's Twin Brooks and the 2 ends of the trailhead, Tate and Whitney. But so there would be an expense to have sanitation go and pick up our trash. But again, as Mary said, if we could have a corporate sponsorship with wrapping the bins, that would pay for it, that part, at least the Big Belly. And I know we got an email just in our sustainable inbox, people asking us for bins at the other end of the Twin Brooks Park. There's trash all over the park. And that another place would be the Park and Ride. It was just a disaster there. So,
Is there a contact? I think you said there's someone in Stratford.
yeah, Mari and I had a meeting with him. He was very forthcoming. He's got 80 bins around Stratford, and he's expanding the program this year.
Can you send his contact information, please? Because I think at the very least, it's worth exploring.
Will do.
It seems I mean, I know at Unity Park there is at least one garbage can, and I think it's probably Little League or Babe Ruth League that's paying for it. But I've been to Unity Park where that thing is overflowing and there's trash all over the place.
Mhm.
So it seems to me that wherever there is a garbage can in town at a public park or wherever, that it might make sense to try the Big Belly there and see if it actually pays off. It's not going to be as much of an additional expense because now somebody's already dealing with that garbage. So maybe Little League or Babe Ruth would help pay for it, and we wouldn't have garbage all over the place because those cans, those vessels, whatever they are, sometimes there's dumpsters. There's actually a dumpster at Unity, but there's also just open garbage cans, and they fill up. They get filled with water. It's a big mess.
Yeah.
So I mean, it would go a long way to making. I know Unity Park, and I think there's other parks too that have garbage cans. That this would be a much better solution, I think.
Mhm.
Mari?
Yeah, I'll just add, Cindy, I don't know if it would be helpful, but Pam and I spent almost an hour on the phone with Chad from Stratford, and maybe we can kind of, highlight some of the key points of the Big Belly and how we're thinking it might work in Trumbull, and then direct Dimitri to the contact just to kind of spare him from duplicating an hour's time to give the info. I don't know, Pam, what you think about that, just to kind of give an overview.
We certainly have a ton of notes that we
Yeah.
took, and we have a summary of it. And I have the
Oh.
pricing sheet that I made up.
Yeah.
So
it's
maybe
easy to
maybe
do.
when you meet with him would be a good idea to discuss it. But I'm just thinking if he would get some comfort from
Sure.
actually talking to the person. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, sure.
But
that's fine.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good idea.
And just to add too, I've been dealing with them on other projects moving forward, and they're not very favorable for a pilot, Mary, just so you know. It's a little tricky if you decide to go ahead with additional units after that. So I think, developing a plan that implements them, meeting their 10-unit minimum would be a more effective strategy. I'm just going to add that. So, okay. And I have to jump
Kevin
off.
brings up a very valid point, which I hadn't even thought of, which is if you walk at Trumbull High School in the spring and summer with all those ball games over there, those blue bins are loaded with cans and bottles and trash, and they fall over, and it's all over the field. And I don't know, I don't think that's Dimitri's bailiwick. That's probably somebody else takes care of the garbage pails at the schools, right?
Probably.
So I mean, that could be part of the 10 that we would propose would be, especially the recycling, when all those plastic bottles are just going into the trash. It's a real shame. So anyway, I don't want to go on and on about Big Belly. I'll be happy to send you the contact info, and we could certainly pull our notes together if it makes sense.
Now, Pam, what is the volume of Big Belly, compared to say a normal, trash can, like a 55-gallon drum?
It's big because it compacts it.
And so I think that'd be an advantage. Also, they're somewhat weatherproof and they're powered by solar, I guess. So there's no need you can drop them in the middle of nowhere and, self-sustaining, and they notify the person, the company, if they're filled.
Yeah, that's what these do.
Yeah. So I think this would be a real advantage. It would help to manage overflow waste and so on, and keep rainwater out of it, stuff like that.
That's exactly what these are, Richard. That's precisely what this is.
Yeah.
They're sealed, solar powered, compacting, Then just I'm working on taking our native plant list that is on our land stewardship tab and adding trees to it. so that we have a native plant list that's complete, including the 10 keystone trees. So I'm working on that. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention that wasn't on the agenda, and I'm going to just throw it out there like a bomb. Run away from it very quickly. Earth Week. I don't think with my my capacity this year I can manage Earth Week, but I didn't know if we wanted to have an Earth Week again or just have 1 or 2 events. So I just wanted to throw it out there to think about till our next meeting.
Has anybody heard, that just reminded me of, and I can't remember her name now, from the library?
Amara.
Amara, I was gonna say Omri, and I'm like, I know that's not it. Because even if we, that was a lot of work that, you know, last year, I know Pam, you put a ton into that. And, you know, Mary Ellen did one, I mean, you know, we could mimic some of the same things. There might be more interest in pollinator, you know, and I said Mel can do that while she's sleeping. But even like tagging, like with enough notice, going through the library and what are they planning? Are they doing anything? And so it's not so much that it's yet another presentation on us, but it does tie into another town entity that we can then promote. And the same thing with the other towns that just do this constantly is still, you know, people are still used to Zooming. So, you know, hook a Zoom in. I mean.
So I have one that I could share, and maybe I could talk to that person at the library. It's Edwina Von Gaal, who's a landscape designer from Long Island. She's great. She's going to do a talk called 2/3 for the Birds. And that's through my Aspetuck Lunch and Learn. So I would be happy to just kind of share that with, you know, the library or us, if we just want to post that with the link.
When is that going to be?
On Earth Day, actually. It's
Okay.
I'm actually doing something on Earth Day. It's a lunch. So it's 12 to 1 Zoom called 2/3 for the Birds. And so that's one that is scheduled. Audubon has, Connecticut Audubon has one for Thursday evening. Southport Library has one scheduled for Saturday. But yeah, I think, you know, just finding out what some of our other local organizations are doing and providing links to those. If we don't have time to set up our own stuff, things are out there. It's a busy week. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with sharing and collaborating with other organizations.
Yeah, I thought what we did last year was great. It's just that even, you know, we had probably the most attendance we had was the one at night for recycling.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it would be worthwhile to do that again.
So does the library, that person at the library, she really had some very good ideas about conservation and environmental topics. But has she gone forward with any of them, or were they just?
I don't know. The last interaction I had, I had let Rob and Tony Silber know, Rob LeBrandy and Tony Silber, you know, to just see, is there anything in our zoning regulations that are keeping her from doing this, or what, you know, what do we have to do, any ordinances? And they didn't seem to think that there were any issues with that. And she said she just wanted a formal, you know, hello with them. So I gave her their contact information and I haven't heard back. So I don't know if, you know, she's reached out, if she's had any plans or not. I know April was going to get in touch with her a couple weeks back, but I'm not sure if she did.
We at the Nature Center, Cheryl has just got in touch with her on a somewhat different project, but there's a community mural project that a young woman, a high school girl actually is working on, called Trumbull Soars, as in birds. And it's a community project where everybody paints their own feather and together it makes wings, and the wings sewer. And so there's going to be an unveiling at the library on April 9th, and then on April 16th, there's going to be a follow-up at the Nature Center. And there's also going to be, along with that, we're planning to have Bartlett tree experts there doing tree climbing demonstration, a touch of bucket activity, tree planting, I guess, of some sort. And we're going to have some, I guess we're going to try to give away, I think, seedlings from Bartlett. So there's a few things. I don't have all the details on it, but that's on the 16th. I don't have anything on the weekend of your Earth Day, but those are a couple things we do have going before.
That mural that she's putting together is absolutely gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Beautiful.
Astounding. How beautiful.
Did she present at your meeting? I thought that you said she did,
Yeah.
and I went back, I watched the last one, and it was talking more the grants you received and capital budget and things, but I didn't see anything from her, and I was really so interested.
She was at our annual meeting in last month, and she talked a little bit about it then, and it got really great reviews by Senator Marilyn Moore. Actually, was talking about doing it elsewhere in the state, and it's a beautiful day. I think it started at the art festival at the was it September was the art festival? I think that's when they started it, and it's still going. So yeah, we're going to try to really do a little more with that, bringing that to the attention of everybody in town. Oh, it's also going to be at the edit meeting, present, what was that, Thursday?
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, so check in on that.
Oh, good,
there.
okay.
Yeah. So we're trying to get the word out on that.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be a great one to contact Trumbull Times on, get a little bit of,
Yeah.
And Kevin Malone and Pam Roman from the sustainable team.
Right, we're everywhere. We're everywhere. So that's
Well, so, Pam, I'm not going to volunteer you, but is working on a presentation that highlights all of the work she's done in her backyard during the pandemic. So it's invasives to natives. So she's going to do that talk for us at Aspetuck in April. So that would be kind of a cool one to do on Earth Week. We could, if you want to, we'll see how. Yeah, it's just her yard is just so incredible. The work that she's done there, and teaching people what they can do in their own backyards is super important. So removing these invasives, like identify them, remove them, and what she's replaced them with natives, and it's been it's her heart and soul's gone into this, and I know she just started putting the presentation together, so that's the 8th of April. So she can practice on Aspetuck, and then she can do it for Earth Day Earth Day or Earth Week in Trumbull for a lunch or an evening thing or something like that.
You can sell tickets. People could come to my yard.
Yeah, sell tickets to your yard.
I think people are really anxious to get out. So that would be a fun thing to have, like we'll bring the wine and cheese.
It'll just be us two, Mel.
Okay. We'll have fun. I don't care. When things start coming up, that would be great. Yeah, we could do a talk and a walk. So we can do the talk in April and the walkthrough in May or June or something like that. So.
And we could bring out the new natives list, revised natives list too. Advertise that at the same time.
Yeah, and hopefully Pam has them all in her backyard.
Yeah.
Not, we'll buy them for her, so we can get them in the yard.
All right, so the last bullets I have are the outdoor nature environment list, and on that I've got the natural resource inventory priorities. Is Conservation Commission working on that, or Pam?
No, I'm leaving. I just want to.
Oh, you're going bye-bye?
I
Okay.
gotta go.
All right.
Have a good one. Talk to you all later.
Okay.
Yep. Happy anniversary.
Bye.
Thank you.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're working on that. So the things that are there, the natural resource inventory priorities, we're working on that. So we have Sarah Sterling, who pulled out some recommendations, and what we're trying to do is overlap them with the same recommendations that were in our Pequannock River watershed plan, which is from 2011. And I can guarantee you we're going to have overlap with the same priorities. And this is kind of goes along with the department head list of topics. You know, our thought was providing maybe 2 or 3, like maybe the top 3 priorities for 2022. So that's what we're kind of, you know, we're working on. We have a meeting next week. So that we'll get to the status of that. The other was a survey we're working on. Pam's got the native plant list. And then the zoning regulations for the riparian areas.
Yeah.
That's Matt is working on that with.
Matt, who's that?
Sorry.
Who's Matt?
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt Solzicki, who's on our Conservation Commission.
You expect me to know how to spell that, right?
No, Solzicki, it's just like it sounds.
Yeah. So it's always just like it sounds.
S-U-L.
Matt S. He's working with Tony Silber on that. And I just sent a little excerpt that I came across the other day. I sent it today to Mary. Again, going back to our 2011 Pequannock River watershed plan, which was a lot of work. There was just this really small, at the bottom of page 61, this recommendation for this exact thing, riparian regulations, but it was telling inland wetland to do it, but we need to tell zoning to do it. That's what Matt, so it was exactly, it had like the 4 points in it that we wanted, which was like stop clear cutting the properties, protecting the riparian areas, not removing vegetation on steep slopes. It had all the 4 points right there since 2011. So that's like 11 years ago. Those recommendations were in place. It just kind of popped out at me. So I sent it to Mary, and I think that'll just help to inform zoning and the town to say, hey, you know, this has been, you know, 11 years of this sitting here, these recommendations, it's time to put them into. Because we didn't see 11 years ago, we didn't see the flooding that we're seeing now. So it was almost like, you know, mind warp, like they were expecting this to happen and now it's happened and we need to change the regulations. So long story short, those 3 things, 1, 2, and 3, we're working on at the Conservation Commission.
So Mel, how does that get incorporated though? I know it's the same thing we've been talking about, say for new developments and putting conservation in there with the tree warden. So to have that extra step and a bit of knowledge, and, you know, natives are, you know, strongly recommended as opposed to encouraged, or, you know, there's, as I said, Dimitri said, you can't always plant a native. There are certain areas where, you know, you just can't, it's not going to survive. So I understand that there's, you know, rationale for not having everything being mandated, but is this like an ordinance in order to get something else in there? I mean, will they open up P&Z without adding those extra, you know, because we've been asking for a lot of little things here and there that haven't, you know, have just been kind of waiting for this redo since 2017.
Yeah.
So how are you getting that in at this point? And are you going to try to say, you know, here's a list of things we would like to get in at this time? Or are you just trying to slide this one, you know, parcel in because it did come down from the state?
Yeah, so this is being prioritized by the state. So it just gave that extra little bit of juice to finally get this, because this, the verbiage that we had written and put into the zoning, it's sitting there. It's just in there, but it's not been approved formally yet. But now, yes, now that this state law has come about, this gives the extra energy to get this in there now, I think. And so, you know, So when a developer or anyone comes in for a permit, you know, these things like the native plant recommendation, those will all be recommendations to both inland wetland and planning and zoning. We always forget to planning and zoning, but they're going to have to get these lists as well. So, so yeah, that's what we're going to use under the recommendation by this new law. These things need to be added to the zoning regs. And the thing that I sent you was interesting because there were a whole series, like zoning regs have been updated multiple times. Inland wetland regs have been updated. The stormwater regulations been updated multiple times. So it's something that's constantly happening. But COVID seemed to shut down our updates. So, but this particular one I think is a big one.
It's really important because every site goes for development, has to go through P and Z, but if it's not within a regulated zone for inland wetlands, then they, and by default, us don't even see it. So that way, these important, you know, conservation issues would be required by all developers, not just the ones that are within the inland wetlands regulated zone. So that's really important.
Mhm.
And the
And that's
timing is perfect because they aren't done yet. We're still revising.
Yeah,
you know,
the
the
book
regs.
is still open.
Yeah,
The book of spells is still open. And that's why I thought having Tony Silber work with Matt S. on this, because Tony's a writer and he's on planning and zoning and he's on inland wetlands. So he should be able to help us to get it just written simply and get it pushed through so that we can start to apply these things to new applications. So
yeah.
And just interesting, I was driving from Shelton the other day, and so I was going the back roads, and I was on Primrose, and I thought I turned, I made a wrong turn. I'm like, where am I? I had no idea where I was, and I went, oh my God, Moorfield. So it's amazing because I haven't been over in that area, much at all, when they first started, but I haven't been over in months, and except for, your pictures showing the runoff. But just seeing it there, I just thought I was in a different part of town.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So
but the good news is that as frustrating as that was, when we worked together with inland wetlands and the staff, we were able to protect that like whole grove of 23 mature white pines that they just wanted to take down.
Yeah.
And those are protected now. So that's what this is. That's like a riparian area there. So it's a good model for working together and getting things done. But now we just really have to get along the front there, replanted once they finish the development. That's my next it's my next project. Get some new trees planted along Huntington Turnpike. That would be great.
And riparian rights is really important because a lot of the water pollution we have is caused by runoff, from yards and roads and so on. So that, that's why riparian rights, in general is really important to protect our waterways, what goes into Long Island Sound, ultimately, and our lakes and everything.
So Mel, quick question.
So
Do you have, sorry, Mel, just one question for Mel. For the area by the veterans, I believe it was you and Pam went and presented about native plantings for there, but that just reminds me because of the, you've seen the Indian Ledge area. So the large cliff-like side of that, did you also talk to them about anything like this for runoff? And I know they're going to be doing the dredging. We just talked about that for the capital plan. So the dredging and everything that goes with that. But did you also speak with them about anything like this that would help with the erosion?
Yeah,
if possible.
Yes. So that was kind of the gist of what Pam and I presented, was keeping this buffer around the whole pond. And if it has to be disturbed at any point, to replant there. But it has so I reached out to Mary Beth Thornton and Ray, just to make sure that when the process gets to that point of landscaping, that we are working with the team, the building committee.
Good.
So they know, because we've already kind of presented to them that we're interested in being kept in the loop on this so we can help to preserve the good stuff that's there and then replant. Has the dredging been approved or is it just still been, because that's.
It's close. There's just one little aspect left to it. I mean, it is amazing the amount of stuff in there, for lack of a better word, but that's what they were saying. It's like the size of the salt containers, the holding bins, whatever they're called, the buildings at Public Works. It's like 3 of those. And they said it's an unbelievable amount of work that'll go into that. So.
Have they hired a contractor to evaluate how much is in there? And
I think they're just at there's one other portion that they were trying to do in capital. And then I think they're going to be ready to go. So it seems like it's going to be a huge amount of stuff out of there, which will be great. And I don't know, Cindy, you may know, I was curious when they took down the veteran building. Do you know if they kept any of the cement, the base of it, which was from the Cat's Ice House?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I was just curious. I was thinking about that the other day because that was like a historical, relevance piece there. So I was just wondering, but okay. Well, anyway, I got us off topic. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. I actually have to run if that's okay. So.
Okay, I wanted to talk to you about the community garden, but we'll have to do that another time.
Oh, okay. There's been no updates on that.
Yeah, we want to, I guess, get somebody in town, Dimitri or somebody to talk to the guy in Westport, or I don't know.
Yeah, we go on if we can, he's always open to, so he would do another Zoom for us, or we could go there live. So,
Okay.
it would just be getting a commitment from somebody in the town, maybe Dimitri or whoever, but just to get a response to the email that I sent with the 2-page profile would be the first step, what they think about this before we even go on a tour.
Right, yeah, we want to make sure that we have an interest here in town that we're going to follow up on.
That's the first step. Yeah.
All right, good.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Mel.
Thanks, you guys. Bye-bye. Have a good day. Bye.
Yeah. So the last item I have, last but not least, QR code implementation. How are we doing on that project? Is that?
Yeah, we had
anywhere?
it is. Yeah, we had a small Zoom. Mary and I are from Sustainable on there. We had a Zoom with Mary Fisher from Historical. Tony Silber was not available, and John Massari was not available. I've talked with John. Let me share my screen real quickly.
Who did you say wasn't that? Who from Historical was there?
Nancy Fisher. And can you see the on your screen right now?
Yep.
This is what John Massari mocked up. Of course, John's on conservation, and he owns Accent Signs. And what he's willing to do is to, at his expense, produce, simple, nice-looking QR signs that we could attach to existing kiosks, attach to a fence, for example, at transfer station, or put on a post if there's no kiosk or fence. And so we came up with, so this is basically an example we came up with. Now the QR in the middle, it's hard to see at the scale, but we have the town logo in the center,
Yes.
which we don't have to include. So the idea would be there'd be, 1, 2, or 3 bullets on what the information will get them. And then we have the email address at the bottom, to give feedback if the link doesn't work, positive, negative feedback could then be sent from the user to this email group, and those on the Google group have access to the emails. And we can also have those going to my personal email if we do get an email. So this particular sign, John was proposing a 2 foot by 1.5 foot sign. And for example, the transfer station, you could put this on the fence, and which would be visible if it's closed or open. And so you can scan these from, 20 feet back from your phone. And so the idea is that QR takes you to the existing town website. And that was one of Dimitri's requirements. Cindy had talked to Dimitri not quite a week and a half ago, and he has an interest, but he wants us to have a town website, and I totally agree with that. So the website is owned by the town, and it's theoretically stable. So, and that's a requirement. Let me show one more. Let's see. Where is my sharing screen? It seems to have disappeared. Let's see.
That's a good thing to have right at the outside of the transfer station. Even if it's closed, you can drive by, you can scan it if you want to get that.
And so I emailed Dimitri yesterday, just sort of as a follow-up. And if I can figure out how to share again, I can't find my screen, my sharing screen in a different view. Let me. Not sure what's happened here.
Maybe stop sharing and then start again.
Yeah, I'm not seeing stop sharing.
The
View I was on. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
there.
Yep. Okay, let me share. Let's see. Okay, can you see the spreadsheet?
Yes.
Okay, this is up. I posted this up on the Sustainable Drive website under QR. And this is the working list of sites we're considering. And I won't go into all the detail. Column K has the URLs. Some are town websites and some are not. Some need some better content. But the bottom line is we have locations consisting, besides the transfer station, a Parlor Rock, which is a really cool historical site. I think one of the first parks of its type in the country. Indian Ledge is a location. Twin Brooks, where we have a nice kiosk, but last time I was there was like no content. Old Mine Park, there's two potential locations. One would be a trail map. When you click on the QR, you pull up a map, trail map, and also some of the historical locations. And then another one is where the Conservation Commission, before my time, had that erosion control project that's kind of an award-winning. And so the idea would be there is to post a QR, advertising the work that conservation did, so that the keywords have an advantage, not only as a sustainable, public service type function, but also to try to educate people on just, good, sustainable environmental practices. And I'd love to plant these on some of our lakes in a public area on riparian rights as well. But the next step is to get Dimitri's approval. John volunteered to make a sign that we could physically show Dimitri if that's his request. And Cindy, I was gonna try to continue this week to get a hold of Dimitri. And if I can reach him, I'm trying not to overload you with all the other stuff you're doing on budgets. But maybe by the end of the week, if I can't reach him, then perhaps you can, help me follow up with him. I think the bottom line is, if we had his permission verbally, yep, you can put these at, 3 locations, 4 locations. If you have an existing website, I could email him this example again. And if the style matches what he's looking for, we could post these. And then, town managers, the public would see these. And then if town manager said, nope, we don't like it, we like a different style, that could be changed fairly readily. But our goal is to require no town expense and no town, staff requirement outside of, talking to you folks and then getting Dimitri's approval. And also at the transfer station, I think that's a really useful location. Should we also contact George?
Yeah,
you think?
probably. Yeah, if you're gonna
Well,
put, if you're gonna put one at the transfer station, I would think you would, yeah.
Yeah,
I would try with Dimitri first, just to make sure he's on board before you go to George.
okay,
And I know, Dimitri really, he did not have a problem with this, but he did want to make sure that the content goes to a town website, a
Yeah.
page on the town website. So let me know if you are unsuccessful in trying to get a hold of him this week, please.
okay. I know he's really busy. It's a
Yeah.
tough time to
Yeah,
try and reach town managers because of budget and everything else and COVID. I'd be happy to, drive a sign to him, meet him somewhere, wherever. John's very willing. John and I talked yesterday. And so he's willing to do, whatever it takes, and then, a handful of locations. And also at Historical Society, Nancy Fisher has an interest maybe at an artifact inside the building. And then we talked about maybe a location outside somewhere, maybe the Sikorsky, memorial or something to try out there. And that would probably be more, her jurisdiction, potentially. But we need some additional, content at that location. But we already have, 3 or 4 locations where we do have town websites. The only exception is at Old Mine, we have that erosion site. And that website, let's see if we can see it here, goes to an official website by Green Cities Blue Waters organization. And that, may or may not meet Dimitri's requirement, but it is more than just a private, blog or private website. So that one might meet his requirement for that.
yeah, I don't know. We would definitely have to ask him.
Yeah,
All right, will you follow up with Dimitri on that, and then we'll hear back.
exactly, yeah.
All of this information, whatever you're planning, we can make a page on the town website for all of this.
Yeah,
So
And that's great, yeah. And I
Yeah.
think,
it would be a good area to put things about the town. That would be great.
yeah. And so we'll simply demonstrate these at several locations. People can see it, and then ultimately, if the town managers think, we could then move forward and have these at the famous tree historical site, could be physically in Pam's garden, for example. Of course, that's not public. Where maybe a community garden, and the idea would be educate people on what to do, what not to do. So and just to get interest, because this town, I never knew how much history we had here in Trumbull. It's amazing. Every other week, it seems, I hear about some new historical site. And so, why not, make this publicly known, and, a QR, code could be on a 4x4 post stuck in the ground. It could be as simple as that with a few words.
Okay, well, that's good. Let's see how what kind of feedback you get from Dimitri on that, and take it from there.
And Cindy, I'll email you or call you later this week if I haven't heard from Dimitri, or if I do.
thank you.
Sounds good.
And thanks for all your help on this, by the way.
You're welcome.
All right, so that's all I have on my agenda. Is there anything else anybody wants to add before we head out?
Oh, one question on Sarah's questionnaire that she's doing under conservation. She has some expertise on, submitting questionnaires and obtaining the information electronically so you can compile it. She had a really, really cool questionnaire for Aspentuck. The idea there is to try to, garner information from the public, on what they want to see and what they don't want to see. And so there's kind of time between sustainable and conservation. But I think the thoughts were from some sustainable, have somebody work with her offline on that. If we don't have her, present this at an upcoming sustainable meeting.
What is her timing on that, Richard?
She could do it. I mean, her presentation at conservation was, 5 or 10 minutes. So
No. I meant, what is her timing for
I see.
when she wants to get the questionnaire out?
Sooner than later, as unspecific as that is. And so I think it's going to go out for conservation, within a month or two is the best guess.
Okay.
But I think sustainable, whether or not we piggyback on that one or not, I think that's a potential, it's a very sustainable thing to get feedback, from the public, in specific areas, and can be very useful in, trying to, customize some of our programs, for the public.
Okey-doke.
Right, well, thanks, everybody. We will, I'll send out I'm working on the minutes now, so I will send them out as soon as I can. And
One thing, I'm sorry, Kevin,
Go
I
ahead.
thought I saw Janet on. Is she still on? No, I can't see it.
I didn't see her at all.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. You came late, sorry.
I was in and then I got an urgent call and I had to go out and I'm in and I saw a message from Mel just before I got involved in another meeting asking about, grant money for brochures or pamphlets. And I said, yes, that's fine, as long as we have the right umbrella. But if you have a
Yeah.
question for me, go for it.
Did you have one, Mary?
Oh, no, I just know you were looking for Janet from before. I wasn't sure if you were talking about if you were talking about that with TNAC and what was it, Pollinators 501c3.
Yeah, the only, I don't have anything specific from TNAC yet. As I say, for TNAC, we need something very specific and clear, a clear plan of action. If it's going to be a community garden, it's got to be something that there's a plan of development and there's a plan of maintenance for it. But I was speaking to somebody else about the United Way of Coastal Fairfield County and that they can act as the nonprofit, and they do this. I mean, it's kind of one of the things that they do is they serve as the nonprofit arm for organizations that don't have a nonprofit. So that's a group that we could follow up with if we actually come up with a plan, a hard and fast plan for whatever it is, the community garden or something else, really anything that Sustainable wants to do. We could look to them. So that's another option.
Yeah, for sure. I've done that before with organizations like that. They're great. They channel it wherever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of set up for that.
Right.
TNAC's not set up to do that. We have volunteers doing various things, and it's hard to ask them to do more than they're already doing.
Yeah.
So it's a little tough, but certainly United Way is another option. We just need to have a clear plan of whatever it is we're going to do, so
Right.
we can present to them.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Mel was talking specifically to this one about the printing up of the brochures
Right.
to coordinate with the UI program, to basically follow the path of where the UIs distributed those, to let people know that they have a right to question, or not have their tree come down, but, so I think that's what that was, those three.
Yeah, I don't know how much money that is or how big of a project that is, but
She gave a price, but it seemed pretty inexpensive to me, so I wasn't sure, but
I was gonna say, I don't know if we,
that doesn't include mailing costs. That was just printing costs.
yeah, mailing's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we just have to figure out what it is that we want to raise money for, and then we can approach people with the plan. Whoever it is, United Way or whoever we're going to try to work through. Because we have lots of ideas, we just have to come up with something a little more hard and fast, something written,
Yeah.
I think once we get the approval of which avenues we can go down, we can then finally get something, concrete to implement.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so,
I see
next-
April, do you have anything to add?
No, I jumped on, sorry, just a little while ago. No, I don't have anything to add at this time, though I did speak to the mother of the student in Fairfield who wants to get involved. So I have an idea. I got to run it up the school chain and see what we could make happen. But do we have any idea when we're going to hear about what ideas we could run with and which ones we're told not to?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's the $1 million question. I do not know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then I have nothing to add.
Yep.
And April, I missed you Saturday. I got there after you. Sorry about that. For the check. Was that so only one check has come into the school or only, two have? Okay.
Got the second one today.
Oh, so yeah, she said she'd been out sick, and so I didn't realize that meant she hadn't been sending them at all, I don't think. So we'll see.
So I do have two. If you want to text me offline, obviously, I could possibly stop by and drop them off to you later.
Great, or I'll stop, whichever. You're a little busier than me. So we'll figure it out. But so anyway, so I guess our final follow-up here, as we're saying, is we'll figure out, Cindy, I guess it's back on your square of where we stand on moving forward with meeting with Dimitri, as it's pretty much Dimitri more than George at this point, really just for getting his approval, and then us pulling something a little more formalized if we know they want to go, which route, and then just start moving somewhere,
Yes.
finally.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Oh, and April, you did get on after the glass. George has said that we could see what we can pull together, and Mari was going to work through the students if she gets a little more information on exactly where. I believe this was, I don't know if you know, Cindy, this was deep, wasn't it? Was this a deep program for the glass?
I can't remember off the top of my head. It might be, yeah.
Thought it was. So there's probably information on the site as well, but that's, but if we definitely have that, it'll make it a little bit easier to do. But again, since Fairfield's already put stuff out, it really helps with not having to, spin wheels needlessly when there's information there. So we can use that. So okie dokie.
All right, team. See you next time.
Okay, goodbye,
Bye.
everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye.